Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer insight, education, and resources to in-home caregivers and those affected in their world. These are the children, the parents, the extended family, and everyone who loves them. And our goal is to offer real life topics through discussing real issues and offering real solutions. And we're actually going to pre-record this one this week because we're bringing it to you as a Cyber Monday special edition of Real Talk. Because we have some exciting news to share with you. And for those of you who have been around our company a while, you know we love to promote our students. We love when they're doing something exciting. And when I heard about this new project that Trey is taking on, I was like, you're on, we're getting you on, we're doing this. So tonight, first, let's welcome our guest, Trey, on the moment. Welcome, Trey, it's good to have you.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Trey. And then we're going to talk about this new thing that she is doing, which I'm super excited about, if you can't tell. So first, let me tell you, Trey is the president of Mommy's Day Off and committed to high quality growth opportunities for professionals. She loves working as a newborn care specialist and often works with agencies worldwide to share valuable information for their candidates, their clients, and their families, and fills in on assignments. Trey is passionate about professionalism, and I would agree with that 100%, and education in the private care industry. So much so that she has spoken on the topic at the inaugural NCS Enrichment Conference, and it was very well received. I was in the back of the room going, because she did such a good job, right? And it was a huge hit. So she wants everybody to have that opportunity to have access to products, services, classes, all the things that will keep them in a constant state of growth so that the entire industry as a whole, and of course, as we all know, the byproduct of that is the families and my passion, the babies, all benefit from that. And we can effectively continue to progress and grow and develop and make a difference. She has become known as a trusted resource in the NCS and birth worker community and is always happy to share valuable insight with everyone. And so tonight we're going to talk about something that Trey is doing, which I became aware of this kind of service not too long ago. And my instantaneous response was, there needs to be something like this for the NCS world. And then when Trey told me, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I'm doing it for the NCS world and beyond. So it's not just limited to NCS, it's to all birth workers, domestic staff, and other people who can benefit from this. I was like, we got to talk about this. So we're going to talk about your online presence. And for those of you who've known me a while, you know I'm passionate about that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, people judge us based on what they see online. Doesn't matter whether it's fair, it doesn't matter whether it's right, it happens. So we don't deal in fantasy here, we deal in reality, and that's the reality. So we're going to talk about your online presence and why you, as a professional, should get an online presence audit. So Trey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about why this is important. Let's talk about your passion for this and what you have created. So let's start with why is this your passion? And then we'll dig into why it's important and all those things.
Absolutely. And everything you just said is exactly how it happened. And I am super excited to talk about it. And I'm passionate about it because a lot of people don't realize why they may have not received a job or why an agency doesn't want to represent them. And I think that we do this thing sometimes where we might reach out to people and say, hey, can people who aren't my friends, can you look on my profile and tell me what you see? But there's more to your online presence than just your social media and then just that one social media account. For some people, there are things that you may have done years and years and years ago that is still showing up in cyberspace. And because of that, you want to have we want to even the playing field. We want you to know how you're being perceived online, especially because sometimes your online presence is actually your first impression to a client, to an agency, to any candidate. For any candidate, it could be your first impression. So we want you to fix that the way you see fit.
Mhm. Absolutely. And, I think about that and I think, okay, when I'm put forward for a job, or say you call me and say, Tanya, I'm working this job. I already had a vacation scheduled. Can you come cover me for a week? I'm working for a client, and this has happened, and I've done this where maybe it's a high profile client, but I have no idea who they are. I don't watch much TV. I don't see a lot of movies because, frankly, I don't have time for it, and I don't need somebody else's anxiety and stress in my life. Um, and so I have to Google to find out who these people are. So even a potential client, my first impression of them is what I see online. And if you, as a candidate, think clients are not doing this, if you think agencies are not doing this, I have got news for you. It is one of the top things they do, isn't it?
It is. It's really the first thing that a lot of agencies do before they even like. They might look at your resume and say, "Oh my goodness, this person is perfect," and then they do your social media look before they even call and reach out to schedule an interview. I
Mhm.
know people who, and it may not have been because of an online presence, but who have gotten a decline to just be interviewed by the agency, let alone by the family, because it just didn't work out. And unfortunately, in most cases, they don't know why. And they don't know why because there's no obligation really to tell them. So if we can combat that and get us on an even playing field, I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that online presence and that first impression, of course, are critically important because we want to be viewed as professionals. We want to be treated as professionals, paid as professionals. And I'm pretty well known for saying, if you want to be paid like one, if you want to be treated like one, then you better darn well act like one, right?
Yes, you
And
are known for that.
yeah, and it includes your online presence. So let's talk about this because people say, oh, that's not real. And I have somebody say to me, oh, well, it's not real, or they shouldn't be judging me for that, But are people really losing jobs because of their online social media presence?
Yes, they are. Not only are people actually losing jobs because of their online and social media presence, but they are also losing jobs that they want. So I think that's the part that for me changes the game. I know that every position is not for everybody, right? Like, I think we can agree that just because you may be qualified for the position doesn't necessarily mean that that position is the best one for you. So maybe there is a level of disconnect that you might want to respect and appreciate if you and your and the potential family or potential client cannot seem to see eye to eye in your social media. But at the same time, if it was a position that you absolutely wanted, and the only thing that kept you from it was a post from 10 years ago, you might want to know that. You might want to take care of that and you might want to find a way to get that out of the limelight so that no one else can find that again, or so that you can stand by it if you want to. So that's the other part is that, you know, you have the authority to choose what you post and what's out there, but you have to remember it never goes away. It can always be found and it can impact your ability to get the job and close the deal.
Right, absolutely. So the biggest argument that I hear from people against this is, wait a minute, this is my social media. I should get to be exactly who I am. And if I want to show a picture of me going to a bachelorette party in Las Vegas with a bunch of my girlfriends in my hot new dress, I should get to do that. And nobody should judge me for that. Let's talk about that argument.
It's true. It is their social media. It's yours. You can do whatever you want on it. But just like it's your social media, it's that family's position. It's that agency's client. And at the end of the day, the same way you get to choose what you post, they get to choose who they work with. And if that post impacts you, your ability to work with these amazing agencies that are dropping 200K job assignments, if that post is preventing you from working with families that would have otherwise worked with you, then you have a decision to make. What's more important, you posting everything you want on social media, or you getting the job. And I'll also add, it's not hard to create and have a separate account. You can keep things personal and keep things professional and have them on two separate accounts, or learn how to change your settings so that only certain things get posted publicly and other things are private.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so I hear from people, they say to me a lot, okay, so maybe, all right, while I'm on a job search, I'll clean it up, or I'll lock it down, I'll put it on private. Of course, you and I both know, even on private, nothing's private. And there are a lot of clients out there who can find way more information than we realize. But say somebody decides they're going to do this. Okay. I want to go after that big job, and I don't want anything to impede me. So I'm gonna lock down my profile. I'm gonna put every setting to private. I'm gonna hide pictures, or I'm gonna take them off. A few years ago, I swept my social media and took every picture of my children off because my children asked me to. They were old enough. They said, I don't want to be there anymore. And frankly, I'd gotten a few creepers who were like sending me gross messages about my kids and things. So I took it all off. My kid, you will not find my children's pictures on social media at all. But nevertheless, if somebody says, all right, I'm willing to do this, but I only want to do it while I'm job searching, will that work? Talk about it for us.
It can work. Um, I think personally that it's better to separate your accounts. If you want to have that Go Wild account, try to do that, and keep that account always on lockdown and privatized. And that's a small way that you can do something on your own. But if you feel like, if any part of you, and I guess this is another thing that has to do with your character and what it is that your goals are. If any part of you feels like you have to change yourself for a limited time just to get the job, then there's probably things on your social media that absolutely shouldn't be seen.
Right. And I love that you brought up this concept of having a more public or professional profile and a private one. And I think that's wise for anyone. And I will say that when we started our company, I didn't do that initially. And in hindsight, I wish I had. Not because I put a bunch of stuff out there that's controversial. I tend not to do that anyway. I'm just old enough that I feel like there's just certain things you don't talk about in public, right? But when I finally did, it made a world of difference, and I felt more freedom online. And so it's important to know too that if you do that, even if a client knows you have a private profile and a public profile or a business profile or whatever, as long as your private profile is on lockdown, the client may not care, right? They don't care if you
Exactly.
went to a bachelorette party last weekend. My guess is most of them probably went to one at some point too. But they, what they probably care a lot more about, especially if they're a high profile client, is what you're putting out for the public to consume. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And I'll even add to that. For some people, even on your professional profile, you may post things that have to do with other charges that you have cared for. And for some clients, that might be a problem. It might be the thing that says, mm-mm, we don't want that, because you are making a name for yourself and you are known on social media, and we don't want that type of attention. And so it can, in both ways, it can impact you. So you
Mhm.
just have to decide what do you want out there and what are you okay with keeping separate. Having a separate account that's locked down, one, clients know what their resources are. Let's be honest here. They know what their resources are. They know that the likelihood of other random people finding this information is probably slim. So it doesn't bother them that you have a different profile that you actually might cut up a little bit. But on this professional profile, the things that are public, they know that it's mature, they know that it's honest, they know that it's not wild and outlandish, and that you're not actually stating, in most cases, your personal views or opinions on things. So, like, sharing a fact is not necessarily an issue. It's when you start saying how you feel about it, where people might be like, okay, we don't have the same political views. But if you never shared your political views and you just shared a fact about something that happened in politics, nobody knows your stance. And it can still get the point across that, hey, I'm aware of what's going on in politics, but you'll never know how I feel about it. And it could help you with expressing yourself without expressing yourself.
Mhm. Absolutely. So you and I both are very much in alignment on our views on this. And so we know that. But the bottom line is you got to be smart about what you do because it impacts your job in some capacity. And it doesn't mean you have to be inauthentic. You just have to recognize that if you choose to do certain things, there are ramifications of it, correct?
Exactly. And that's the part that I think a lot of people miss. Authenticity is something that should be on every profile. We should all be being ourselves. But just like with any relationship we have, the way you are with your coworkers, you probably don't interact the same with all of your coworkers, right? You're closer to some than you are to others. And then on top of that, the way you interact with your coworkers is not the same way you interact with people in your household, which is also not the same way you interact with your entire family. So we already do this code switching type of thing anyway. You're still authentically you. You still go to work and get the job done because it matters. You still go home and take care of your family because it matters. But you interact with everybody differently. And that's just it. You're still being yourself. So having separate profiles and also taking responsibility of authorizing what you're tagged in is the game changer so that you can make sure you're still authentically you, but also keeping things separate and professional.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what you have created and how it can benefit those in our audience, our NCS, our doulas, our nannies, our other household staff, other people who might be watching this, because we have a lot of parents who watch this also, and maybe they're out looking for a job. So let's talk about what you have created, what it can do for them, and then we're going to talk about Cyber Monday just a little bit.
Awesome. Okay. So, what I have done is created a service, a program called the your online presence audit. And it literally is an audit of your online presence. We go in and we do a deep dive. We look at everything. You give us all of your information and we'll share with you the results of the audit. And in those results, what we're telling you is exactly what we found. And you can choose to do with that information what you want. And I also have it where we do provide a background check. And the background check is super like in depth, absolutely no corners cut. We're giving you everything. We'll do the driving record. We'll also be doing your county records, everything. And we'll give them to you. So now you actually can have a copy of your own background check. And for a lot of people or businesses or agencies or families who want you to share your background check, like what you have already, you'll have that on file. The last thing that we also do is references check. So with the references check, we're actually contacting your references with your permission. And we're verifying the jobs, we're verifying information, and we're able to confirm for you whether or not someone is a good reference. And that could be for several different reasons. Maybe they weren't able to be contacted. If somebody you have down as a reference is not responding to messages, phone calls, emails, texts, anything, then they may not be a good reference for you. But you won't know that until somebody who you're trying to get a job from is telling you they can't get in touch with your reference. So let's prevent that from happening. Or maybe the information that they are giving may not necessarily match up with what you've shared, which means that they are not on the same page and it may not be a good idea to have them as a reference because it seems fraudulent. We're able to share that information with you without actually telling you what the reference said because we're not able to do that.
So if I'm hearing you right, there's an online audit, there's a background check, there's reference checking. Do you also offer any kind of, if I say to you, okay, Trey, so I did all this stuff, now what? Do you offer any kind of consult in order to help me clean it all up? Or, tips for how I could make it better, even if it's not bad, tips to make it better.
We absolutely automatically provide tips. But if anybody wants to have a consult where we review your outcome, the whole outcome of your entire audit, and we sit down and talk and we share with you the information, we talk about what your goals are, and then we're able to design a plan for you. And it's 100% customized to you, your goals, and your needs.
Fantastic. And so you put this together as a service. It comes, if I remember correctly, it comes as independent components, or you have kind of a thing where you can bundle them all together and it's a bit of a discounted price, right? But you're doing something for Cyber Monday. Tell us about it.
Yes. So for Cyber Monday, just for Cyber Monday, we're doing a special where you can get the entire bundle, which is the online audit, the background check, the references check, and a 30-minute consult with over $150 discount. So what would normally cost well over $600 is now only going to cost you $449.
Fantastic. So let me make sure I'm clear on this so that our audience is clear. This discount isn't off the individually priced components. This is a significant discount off the bundle price, which is already a discount. So essentially, there's never going to be a price that's this low, right?
Ever.
Right.
Ever. We will never do this price again.
Right.
Ever.
So this is the lowest price you're going to offer it at, $449. Now, some people out there are going to go, yeah, that seems like a bit of money. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You got to think the long game here. If I'm up for a $40,000 a year job, $449 might feel kind of expensive. But we all know that, especially for high-level nannies, high-level NCS, other household staff, a lot of these jobs are well into the six figures, well over $100,000 a year. $449 is a pretty small investment to give you a leg up over other candidates who may also be out there. And to me, anytime you invest in yourself, that is absolutely the very best investment you can ever make. And so $449 is actually really cheap for what the benefits ultimately could be. And that's part of why I was so excited about this. I was like, wait a minute. If you're going to do this and you're doing this on Cyber Monday at this price point, we got to share this with our audience. So we literally crammed this in, didn't we? So that we can make this happen. We're like, tomorrow, it's got to happen. So that we can put this out. So I am so excited that you're doing this. Of course, we will have all the details in the description and in the feed so that you guys can get a hold of Trey. You can get this, you can get the special Cyber Monday pricing. And I am just super excited to see where this can go and what this can do to help you improve your online presence in order to give you that better chance of being the candidate chosen for the job. Because you know what? When COVID was raging, jobs were everywhere. And while our industry is still very, very busy, I'm hearing everywhere from agencies to candidates and families that it's slowing down a bit. So every single thing that you can do that helps you stand out as a candidate is absolutely a worthwhile investment. And so I'm thrilled to get to tell you guys about this, to have Trey on to share about it, for you to get to experience her and realize what an amazing person she is and how authentic she is. And if you're job searching, you need to be doing this. I really, really think you need to be doing it. So anything else you want to share with our audience before we wrap up here? Because we are almost out of time, Trey.
Yes, I just want to add to what you just said. Investing in yourself and making sure that the image you are trying to set forth is what's being received is not something that you should ever frown at. I think that we have this idea that like sometimes we feel like, oh, that's too much for me. And it's not. You deserve to know how you're being perceived. Again, your online presence, your virtual presence may truly be your first impression. Let's clean it up.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, you are worth investing in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Trey, on Real Talk. I'm so excited to be able to bring this out there. And I really appreciate that you were willing to hop on very short notice and share all about this new service. So I'm excited for you and I'm excited for what it can do for our industry.
Thank you. And I really hope everyone takes advantage of this. Again, it's the last chance you'll have to get it at this price.
Absolutely. So, and if you have any questions in our audience about this topic or related to why you should even consider getting an online presence audit, which I think we all should, put them in the feed and tag Trey Moment or tag, excuse me, I can't even talk tonight, Newborn Care Solutions, and we will make sure that you get answers. And of course, you can rewatch this segment along with all of our past Real Talk episodes and access all our educational content by popping over to newborncaresolutions.com and clicking on the education tab. You can also find us on YouTube, putting in Real Talk Newborn Care Solutions into the search engine. And now you can find us on all the podcast channels as well. If you have anything else you'd like to know, make sure you put it in the feed and we'll get you those answers. So thank you for joining us. Have a great night.